Bonjour les amis. This is Generator coming to you directly from the City of Light. I'm Jane Bertch, a Chicago native, Paris-based entrepreneur, author, and your partner in personal reinvention. I've spent the past 20 years living and working in Paris, and after leaving the corporate world and deciding to create something of my own, I've discovered both the beauty and the challenge of building a life shaped by curiosity, creativity, and a sprinkle of courage. These are the practices that lead to true transformation. So whether you're planting a seed in your jardin secret, your secret garden, or giving voice to your creativity for the very first time, let's step into your next chapter with intention. And of course, with a touch of Parisian charm. So as we say in French, on y va, let's go. Bonjour les amis. I hope you're well. We are mid-May 2026, and wow, I can't even imagine how quickly this year is going. But as you listen to this, we are smack dab in the middle of Mother's Days. That's plural. I always ask myself how Mother's Day is so different in different countries, but Father's Day seems to be one date. Anyway, I digress. We just had Mother's Day for North American, or specifically American moms. And we are waiting for Mother's Day for French moms, which will happen at the end of this month. And I want to remind you something I'd heard and I'd forgotten, but I was recently in the US and I kept hearing people say, we can plant our seeds and our flowers after Mother's Day. And I'd forgotten this. I need to see if we have the same reflection in France, but you know I love a garden theme. And I want to remind you that it's a really good time to think about the seeds you're going to plant and those beautiful flowers and the things that you're going to grow in your garden this coming year. And if you need help doing that, don't forget on my website, I have a spring planting guide for your jardin secret. But we're not talking about that today. What I want to talk about in honor of Mother's Day is creation. Because obviously, being a mother means that you've created something quite significant. And I'm not a mom in the traditional sense, besides my four-legged doggy Pantouf, but I am somebody that loves creating. And I've created a few things in my lifetime, and I want to create more. I want to be a serial creator. That excites me. So stay tuned for more. But creation is such a wonderful thing that we have and that we offer. And we're creating every day. We're creating every day. And the big question we must ask ourselves every day is, are we creating what we want? Particularly when it comes to the version of us, the lives we want to leave, the people that we want to be. Are we creating those versions? Because in creating, one of the most important lessons I've learned is that I don't get clarity just through thinking. And I want to share that with you because this comes up so much. I get people who say, did you have all the answers? Did you know what was going to be before you created it? Absolutely not. I have always been one of those people that gets clarity through action. And as I'm creating action, I'm creating and I'm getting information and I'm going back to the drawing board when needed to refine it. And my product 101, I can tell you, often looks very different than the end product. And frankly, I don't even believe in the end product because things change every day. What we are interested in changes. What our clients are interested in changes. So should whatever we're creating alongside it. And that's something I want us all to get so comfortable with because I feel like once we create something, an identity, career, relationships, a business, products, we have this impression that that's it, it's done. And it's never done. How can the person that created that, the me that created that 5 years ago, be able to tell the Jane of today that that's appropriate or that's what she should still want to do. So creation it's always an evolution. And that's something that I want us to continue to remind ourselves that creating, it's an active verb. It's not about what we build. It's about the building of it. And in whatever we're building ourselves. So for me, creation is so much about the process. It's about testing. It's about testing in public, having self-assurance to know that whatever you're putting out there doesn't have to be full and final, but you have to bring it to life. You have to put air and life into these ideas. And I'll tell you, I've had plenty of ideas that didn't go well. I laugh at them now. Some of them have been spectacularly ridiculous. But the point is that I've learned from each and every one of them. So whether or not you want to use the failure word, that's fine. For me, it's data. It's data that helps me think about what I'm going to do next time, what I learned, what works, what doesn't work. And if I can share with you just one, I could write a whole book on spectacularly ridiculous ideas I've had. And this one is going to lead me into my next thought about creation that I want to share with you, that nothing's ever done alone. There's always a community behind every good thing. But before I get there, early into La Cuisine's days, we were coming up with themes for classes, as you would. And I had this fabulous idea that one of the themes for the classes should be Gastro, Vous. So I thought that was such a neat play on the word gastronomy and vous as in the person, and how this class was going to be all about their relationship with gastronomy. Well, thank God I shared that with somebody in my community who reminded me that gastro in French is basically stomach flu. I'm just going to let you sit with that. This fabulous class idea was inviting people to have stomach flu, not the exact theme or reference that you want to have as a cooking school. Why did I end up getting that fabulous feedback, which we still laugh at today? Is because I dared to share the idea. I dared to sit with somebody and say, what do you think of this? So I think as you're testing the new versions of you, the new products, the new businesses, the new careers you want to try, make sure that you have a safe community to do that with, because it is priceless. And I want to talk about community for a second, because this really means so much to me. Nothing is done in isolation. Every time you see a fabulous movie or a well-read book or a product that you love or a person that you love, nothing is created in isolation. A well-written book has an entire team behind it. You have editors, you have people that think about the cover, you have people that think about the paper. Everything done is a group effort. And that also refers to you and me. We're a product of our experiences. We are a product of the people that we give our time and energy to. And I want you to think about that. It's so important that you make sure to put yourself constantly in situations where you're feeling poured into, where you're feeling welcome at the table, where you are feeling validated and loved. And of course, that you're giving it back to those same people. If you don't find that the people in your network are giving you that, especially at such an important time and in such a vulnerable time around transition and transformation and reimagining yourself, then you must expand your network, because those people will inevitably influence you. So let's make sure that they're doing it the right way. And if they're not, let them go. And letting go which I want to talk about, is a hard thing. But when you're creating, when you're really creating, you have to let go of an existing state or an old state to make room for the new state. I don't see any other way around it. 1 plus 1 does not always equal 2. There are times when you really have to step back and think about what you need to take going forward. There may be things that you need to let go of. And that's been one of the hardest things I've learned, that creation is not permanence. It's constantly evolving. One thing I've learned about creation is it requires inspiration. The times when I'm feeling down and out and not like I'm flourishing and that I'm just coasting is because I'm not being inspired. I'm not putting myself in a situation where I'm developing and learning and growing. I'm letting life get to normal. I'm not taking my own personal stewardship to reimagine things. And that's crucial because that is up to us. And we can find inspiration in so many ways. We can think carefully about who we watch, who we want to emulate. You've heard me talk about role models. I get inspired watching people who do things in a way that I'd love to do. You can get inspired through travel. You want to inspire yourself? Travel alone and see how strong you are. Because if you don't dare to practice in public, you won't eat, you won't shop, you won't do things. But if you're traveling alone, you're forced to. Go ahead and inspire yourself. But we have to remind ourselves that that's also our responsibility. Creation is constantly evolving. Creation and loss sit side by side. To become something new, to develop into a new career, to reimagine ourselves, we have to somehow evolve out of the older version, which is absolutely possible. And I want to remind you that there can be so many different versions of you until the one you decide on for today appears. And once it appears tomorrow, you can decide that you're ready to be someone else because you've learned, you've grown, you've expanded. So I love to talk about creation. It's such a wonderful art that we have as an animal. We don't construct nests, or maybe we do, we just call them homes. But that's one of the one talents we have that we can continue to push ourselves to do. We can continue to step out of our comfort zone. We can have personal stewardship over creation and all the many forms it can take. So wherever this finds you, if you're celebrating Mother's Day or not, I want to remind you how infinitely creative you are and how many different forms creation comes in, and how as you're creating, you're constantly becoming. You're becoming this new version. Even if what you're creating you imagine is outside, if you like a business, well, in creating that business, you're becoming a new version of yourself. And I want to remind you to love the creation process because the joy is in the journey. And frankly, the journey never stops. Nothing is ever finished. I imagine that things actually finish when they're done on this earth. But until that point, they continue to evolve. So I hope you learn to love the process. And in loving the process, know that there's some things that you cannot take forward. You can't take forward that old version of you. You can't take forward that business that you loved for so long, but now you're ready for something new, or that career that you've been faithful to, but now guess what? You have an encore and it's something completely different. And perhaps it's not the relationships that have gotten you to where you are now. There may be a few things that you need to let go, but in letting go, you're going to fill your cup with so many wonderful things. And as you fill that cup, think about your community. Think about who you want to share that cup with. Think about who lifts you up, who fills you up, who leaves a seat for you at the table. That is inspiring. So find your inspiration wherever you can. Continue to evolve and continue to remind yourself that whatever you choose to have or be or do, you can. You just have to work on creating it. So wishing you a bon fête de mère or happy Mother's Day. And in my case, I am a mother of 2 businesses and a red poodle here in Paris, and I'm quite happy with that. And I'll speak to you soon. À bientôt, mes amis. Before we go any further, if what I've been talking about today resonates with you, I want you to know there's a space for you that I've created. Several times a year, I gather a small group of women in Paris for what I call les saisons, the seasons. These are my retreats. They are very tiny, very intimate. Each one is designed around the time of year. So not just the season we're in physically, but hopefully the season we're in our internal seasons. And it's just a wonderful time to return to ourselves. In spring, we talk about planting. In September, it's the rentrée season, which is a beautiful time in Paris. And in the fall, it's the harvest, la vendange, because how can we not talk about wine and all those wonderful messages? So these are not spa weekends, they're not shopping, they're not tourist trips. These are 3 days in one of the most transformative cities in the world, designed to help you pause and realign and start to really think and step into what's next for you. And the women who come, they're curious, they're brave, they're open-hearted, they're just phenomenal. They're hopeful, they're community-based. And if that sounds like you, I'd love to have you join. So take a look at my website. I'm constantly updating different dates for Les Saisons retreats, and I'd love to have you here. You can find them all at janebertch.com/retreats.